Triratna. And she was born on the day the mass conversion happened, not in 1956, but the day, actual day, the mass conversion happened. So that's why she's got this name called Diksha. It's a beautiful name, means conversion. And she's currently living in Mumbai and currently pursuing bachelor degree in arts, has a diploma in engineering, loves singing, as you can see witnessed earlier, and also she plays ukulele. She's part of Triratna since childhood, part of the Buddhist group in NBY since 4 years, and recently joined the band called Ambedkar, where she actually performed her singing as well. Her parents are Mitras, and because her parents were involved with Buddhism, she also got involved with Buddhism early age, and she done a lot of retreats and so on. So for me, Diksha is represent one of the youngest Buddhist ideals, if you like. For me, she's passionate about Buddhism, passionate about Dr. Ambedkar, very bright, very articulate, and she represents the young Buddhist, and especially women, actually. The confidence she presents, I feel very inspired and impressed. So really looking forward to hear what Diksha has to say today as well, and really thank Diksha agreeing to do this with Gina. So Gina, she met Diksha in India, and that's why it's going to be very good conversation today. So let's introduce Gina. I know Gina since few years. She's one of my best friend in Cambridge. She's very bright. She's ambitious. She's very passionate about social change, especially what's happening at the moment with Black Lives Matter. She's involved with Black Lives Matter, running some protest and helping some towards to protest in Cambridge. So really inspired by that. She's one of the person I met most generous and helpful. I haven't seen someone like her really, how generous and helpful can be. So she really exemplifies the quality of abundance and generosity. She worked for Karuna Trust last few years. She's our star fundraiser. She has raised so much money for Karuna, and Karuna doesn't want to lose her. They always often praise Gina so much. So Gina is someone also has strong connection with India and Dr. Ambedkar's vision, if you like. So I'm really pleased to pleased for Gina as well. She's agreed to have this conversation. So I'm going to hand over to both of them, and they will start this conversation. So thank you, Gina and Diksha, and welcome.
Thank you, Sanganaji.
Yeah, thank you, Sangana. Thanks for making me cry before it even starts. Yeah, Sanganath mentioned doing this today, and I definitely don't feel qualified to really talk about Dr. Ambedkar. So yeah, I had the idea of just having a conversation with Diksha, who's a good friend. We met in February, on the 16th of February this year, and immediately became basically best friends. So that's really lovely. So I'm really looking forward to just like talking to you about your connection with Dr. Ambedkar, because we've not really had those conversations. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because it's like we're coming from you. I do feel like Dr. Ambedkar has affected my life, and he definitely does inspire me, but we're coming from very different places. I met, first encountered Dr. Ambedkar's work and life and legacy maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and yeah, it's just very different to your life. Yeah, do you remember when you first kind of like remember actually hearing about Dr. Ambedkar?
Yeah, so as Sangana just told how my name is Diksha, as I was born on Dhammachakra Pravartan Din, on that full moon day. So I think, why my name is Diksha, I think that started the whole journey. Because when I was called Diksha, and as far as I remembered, my mom told me that you were born on this day. And so I asked her, what is the what is the significance of this day and what is everything. So she kept on telling me, and the things I remember, like the earliest things. So I remember her telling me the bedtime stories instead of the fairy tales and all the heroic things which are which are fiction. She told me the non-fictional things which are really heroic and which are peaceful. They like these things are heroic. The stories were heroic and they were peaceful, about Buddha and Baba Sahib. So, and I remember going to retreats since I think when I was I was 5 or 6 years old. I used to go to retreats or the talks or the group discussion we used to have, and the small skits we used to do in the last day of retreats. So I think that has affected a lot since childhood, and because of that, I'm here. And basically, it was the journey from my mom used to take me to retreats, and now I myself go to NNBY. I myself go to the retreats. So I think this is the journey since my childhood.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's just so different. It's like, so, you know, your life is completely seeped with kind of Ambedkarite Buddhism, and, you know, you're in that community so much. Yeah, it's just so different. Whereas for me, I feel like I have more of a different angle, you know. It's like, I feel like the way Ambedkar affects my life is more that I can be inspired by him for kind of social change and mind change things here. Like Sanganath mentioned, us working together in the movement against racism, things that are going on. And yeah, you know, I can see Sanganath's fire so much. Like, you know, he can implement like kind of Ambedkarite principles across all movements, you know, how Buddhism and social justice really do intersect. And for me, that's like one of the really inspiring things. But it does feel quite, you know, going to India also, I saw how it really does affect like people, like I say, you're just completely seeped in that. For me, it's like still a bit more of an idea, even though I've witnessed it. But yeah, it's more of an idea. But yeah, how does it affect your life generally, like now? How would you say just being in that community, the conversion, and generally Dr. Ambedkar's work affects your life?
So the question how he affects my life is a very broader umbrella, and you know it is really not easy for people like me to really say how he affects, because I would say I am because he was. So when I say this, you know, he really affects my life in a very broader range, because now even when I'm talking in English, because of him, because I went to school, I went to a good school, and I had all the opportunities which the upper caste people have right now. Even now when I'm studying in my college, even whatever I'm doing, I can equally stand, you know, within them, and there I can be myself in spite of the so-called lower caste I belong to, so-called, because I don't really agree to the caste system people follow here. And if I go to another side, the laws we have. So even when I say the opportunities, even if the opportunities are not fulfilled, if they are treating me by them, I mean any system I'm a part of. So if people are treating me unequally, so I can knock the doors of court, right? I have the legal rights as well. So I have the equal rights, I have the equal opportunities, I have the equal rights, I'm doing the equal duties. So I think this is how Ambedkar has affected me, Dr. Ambedkar, because I can enjoy all sort of rights and equality, equal manner, I would say. And when I so his writings and speeches, the books which I'm reading, so I think they have affected me a lot. So so when I read Ambedkar's book, so I can see how firm he is on his decisions, how firmly he says, how firmly he has penned everything, the decisions he have made without any second thoughts. So I see decisiveness there, and people like me, the teenagers like me, we are like a little bit indecisive. So I think he really inspires me to be decisive, you know, to stand on my own feet, to stand on my own decisions, to take a stand. So I think when I read him, I feel like I should be so much knowledgeable to, you know, to start. I don't know if I'm articulating it properly, but he inspires me to be decisive, to be to form my own opinions, because if I won't form my own opinions or my own stand, I would rather be living someone else's opinion, someone else's objectivity, rather than my own objectivity. So I think that inspires me a lot, like not that affects me a lot by his writings.
Yeah, you mentioned like once when we were talking, you mentioned kind of having to like really step up and do your research kind of and have that clarity and that firmness.
Yes.
And I think that's what you're talking about. Yeah, just like
so even when we talk about the sorry so even when we talk about the firmness, he says, so I think that needs research, and by his writings you can clearly see how he has dug like the in the core of the caste system, and in the core, so no one can really points out that, oh, you are doing something wrong, oh, this is not logical, or this is not rational. So even like he gives me a lot of inspiration to research, to be the researcher, and then to form your decisions. That sums up.
It reminds me a bit of something that I sometimes think about when I think of kind of Dr. Ambedkar's life and childhood especially. Something around, it's not ever something he said, but I have this kind of memory of in my own like kind of school life, there being like children or teenagers who maybe were like a little bit bullied to some extent, but because they had like an inner confidence and firmness, they wouldn't let themselves be bullied. They like, it just wouldn't really work. And I have a sense that, Dr. Ambedkar probably as a child was like that, and even as an adult, there's this kind of confidence that can come, and I think it links to what you're saying as well, like not only doing research and knowing what you're talking about, but kind of working on yourself in other ways. Anyway, I don't know if that makes sense, but there's this analogy that I have, or just this kind of memory of like, people in my school, and it does seem to make sense in terms of like, even if people are kind of dismissed or in some ways oppressed, like they can, it can like fall off like water, can't it, off a duck's back in some ways. Can you say more about kind of confidence in other ways? Are there other forms, you talk more about like research and like knowing things. Is there something like more kind of spiritual or internal that you've got from your Dharma life?
Yeah. So as we all know that, Baba Sahib has been one of the most one of the most biggest medium, to spread Dhamma to our community. And like when Ratna Kumar was talking about identity, even I was thinking to talk about identity. I know it is repeated, but we all are like we all have the same inspirational things. We have he has inspired a lot in different ways and even similar ways. So I think when I see Ambedkar, I see that how peacefully he has revolted, as we can see, there was no use of weapon and nothing, but the use of the one power, one power, which is education. So, because of that, even when my mom used to tell me the stories, I was more focused, used to tell me that, education is the biggest power. And just like Ambedkar says, education should be the first step. So I think it inclines me more towards education, and even as it is the key to the revolution, the peaceful revolution. And the second thing would be identity. I mean, as we all know that he was born as a Hindu, but he didn't die as Hindu. So if I relate it to my life, even when people call me anything, whatever they have prejudices in their mind or whatever they think, I think I should not consider it as my identity. So if someone is saying Diksha is this, Diksha is that, A, B, C, D, whatever, I think that is not my identity. The identity is something which I create. And even I think even my past is not my identity. My identity would be what I would create from now. So I should not really focus on people, what they talk about me, what they spread rumors or anything, but I should focus on what I want and what identity I choose to belong. So I think that is something which he inspires a lot. And even determination. So so when we say that he has changed his identity, so it was not like the next day woke up and he said that, no, I'm not a Mahar, I'm a Buddhist. he had to struggle a lot. He had to read a lot. He had to do a lot of research. He had to do a lot of things to, give this identity to many of the people and to himself. And the determination plays a very, very important role. The hard work he has done. So I think that really inspires me. And as he has said, in Marathi it is said that Samateza Rath. So in English I would translate it. It means that the chariot, the equality chariot, the legacy which he has left for us. So I think the last sentence he has said that you should try to pull that chariot ahead, but not behind. I mean, if you cannot pull it ahead, let's not pull it behind, whatever he has done for us. So, I think I would love to be a part of the people who would, pull the chariot ahead and not behind. Like in any small ways, in any baby steps I would like to take, but I would surely do that in my life.
Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, yeah. I was just going to ask as well, like about, you mentioned before about your kind of, you are who you are because of him. And I guess I was wondering, is there much like from your parents or your ancestry that like, your parents and grandparents, like how has it been kind of more in the long run, like your life? Yeah, how has it affected your life kind of more historically in a way?
Yeah. So when we go to our ancestors, so my grandfather or my great grandfathers, they weren't educated. So the process is really slow. It is a gradual process. So you can see the difference from like I'm so grateful to the ancestors who have converted to Buddhism in the past. So by then, I think my grandfathers, they weren't educated much. I mean, you can say second, third grade or something, or not even that. So my mom, dad, they are quite educated, like they have gotten their graduation and stuff. So now as we can see the change, the little amount of changes, even spiritually, mentally, physically, by sort of knowledge. So even my ancestors, they had some superstition things in their mind, but now when I look at my mom and dad, they don't have it. We never had any idol of any gods or any Hindu I would say creatures, but yeah, gods in our houses. So I think this is how I see the change, and now my generation where, I belong to parents who have never, who have never seen any bit of Hinduism in their life. So I think my children, I mean, if I had any, they would be advanced version of this. And I can see the growth coming from my ancestors. So that is how I would like to say it.
Yeah, that's amazing. And in terms of kind of change as we move forwards, I suppose the way I kind of see it, and what Dr. Ambedkar has done is, he has this amazing kind of container of what he's done, with the Constitution, the kind of legal ground that he's like set, which is so good. The Constitution of India, it has so many great rights and equalities, laws, and all of this. But you mentioned earlier, you said, but even though there are the laws, they're not always listened to. And I feel like that's kind of the work, like that's kind of what Dr. Ambedkar did, was kind of have the legal political aspect, and then he saw that isn't enough, so that's so incredible what he's done. That's why there was this conversion, wasn't it? It's like the politics wasn't enough, we need a mindset change. So for me, that's what's really, really inspiring, that he really could do both. And I guess I'm just curious, like, what do you think is needed for the bridge? Or like, now it's more about this like next bit. We talked about confidence, but I'm just wondering do you see it the same? Like, this is the groundwork and now there's still stuff to go? Or like, just tell me more about how you feel about it.
So you mean by the identity he has given and the legal things, you mean?
Yeah, so
like
first,
how to connect
in a
those
way,
both?
yes, the legal bits, and then there's like the conversion. Yeah, exactly. How do you feel needed to make sure that the legal things are really listened to?
So I think when we talk about the legal things, I think many of the people don't know what those legal things are, so it is like we don't, like, barely people, like there are handful of people who have read the constitution, you know. So even when we talk about the rights and duties, people don't really know what are their rights, and I think then their people, you know, I think they are to be blamed sometimes, because they don't really know what their rights are and how they can really you know, counter question the other person. So I think to you know, so if I would, if like I would ask this, I think I would like to say that to know your, like to um, if your voice should be heard in the future, you should know what the rights are, what the constitution is about, and what all relaxations you get. And as I earlier mentioned, the education, and what I see personally when I need to focus on the rights and even the dhamma, I think I read more about Ambedkar. I read more about the history, what we have gone through, and why certain things are like that and like this. So I think there is an equal balance of you know, dhamma and Ambedkar's writings and speeches. So I think that is what I do personally.
Yeah, I think that's such a good point, and linking it, you know, it's back to education, isn't it? Like everything back to that kind of, you can merge it through education and confidence and being able to, like, I guess once you know what your rights are, also being able to speak up and having those things in place to be listened to. I guess that's also,
Exactly.
yeah, not the easy bit. Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah, no, I think Ratna Kumar just said something. Was it you, Ratna Kumar, saying this is a bit practical? Yeah, no, I guess that's what I mean. To me, this is very inspiring. So yeah, I got a bit excited and was asking more like personal interest questions. But yeah, did you want to say anything else about like what really inspires you about Dr. Ambedkar? Yeah, I think there were some more like personal things. Yeah.
Yeah, so so the thing is, when in India, so whenever we talk about Baba Saheb Ambedkar, so the first thing which you know, which eliminates in people's mind is that he has done a lot for backward castes, you know, backward classes or caste, the scheduled caste people. So I think people should really broaden their mindset, because he has done a lot for other people. He has done a lot for women. He has done a lot in engineering aspects as well. So people barely know that he has you know, he has made the blueprints of the Damodar Valley civilization. Because of him, we have this good you know, the good association, for not association, but really good electricity sources and stuff, the grid, you know, all the projects which are based on the hydroelectricity power plants and all the power plants, like electric power plants and everything. You know, he has mentioned a lot of this stuff. He has suggested all these things, and because of that, these things have emerged. So this part of you know, his phase, you know, people don't really know that he has done a lot in engineering facets. He has done a lot in engineering side as well. So I think people should know that he has done broadly, and not just, you know, for the SC people or for a certain community, but he should be the icon of every people. So for instance, only SC community people here celebrate Constitution Day, as if, you know, only we are the people who use the Constitution and not the whole India. So I think people should really open their eyes in India about his works.
Yeah, that's amazing. Until you mentioned it the other day, I didn't really know quite how much, you know, breadth there was. Like, I feel like, yeah, there was the, you know, caste thing and the constitution and, you know, a lot for women's rights, but I didn't really know about, you know, yeah, what you just mentioned. Yeah, yeah. Wow. Yeah.
I hope I answered your questions. I mean, so sorry if I couldn't, because this is my understanding about him. I know it is not so much, because he has done a lot. You can't really put a sentence and say, yeah, now this is what I get from it.
Yeah. No, I think this is good. I think people really just want to hear your personal experience. Like, you know, I'm so lucky to have met you, but maybe not everyone has been to India. I'm sure many have, but yeah. Yeah, I just wanted to, I guess, like, I was so inspired going to the National Network of Young Buddhists convention. That's where we met in India earlier this year. And yeah, just really seeing how much, especially within that network of young Buddhists, like women, young women like you are so encouraged to stand, to be at the front, to be doing the speeches, be doing the hosting. Like, it was quite remarkable, actually, more so than in this country, I'd say. And I think in a way that is part of this like legacy. And, you know, Sanganath mentioned like you're one of the amazing next generation of young women, you know, specifically. So yeah, firstly, I just want to say how inspiring that was. Just, you know, you're 21 tomorrow. Yeah, other people like, you know, Prashika, she's like 19, you know, like young women being like there hosting Subhuti, and I was just so inspired by that. But yeah, just I guess we probably don't have too long, but is there anything specifically, whether more in the Dharma or generally what you mentioned around structures of society, that as a woman feel relevant to share?
I think as a woman, I have never, you know, whenever people ask me, you know, how you feel being a woman or something, I would really say that, you know, I've never felt like men and women are different in, you know, being a Dhamma member or being in our community, you know, in Triratna. So I have never faced anything like this, that you're a girl or you're a guy. So I really have nothing to say about it. But I really feel encouraged how people come across, you know, and we don't really talk a lot about gender or gender biases. Even coming from a very beautiful family, I've never faced anything as such. You know, there are certain rules for my brother and there are certain rules for myself. So I don't really have anything to say like how a woman is depicted in certain way.
Well, that, I think that in itself is saying a lot, that you haven't been, you know, you haven't had those barriers quite as much.
So privileged for now.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's not the same for
everyone, yeah,
people in India, but that's really, really great, and that does say a lot, actually. Yeah. I think we'll be wrapping up soon, but is there anything like you wanted to share otherwise that I've missed out, or yeah, just anything else before we go?
Not really, but I would really want to give like a small message. So I think you know, whenever people just celebrate his like any Eve, any Buddhist Eve, so it is like that they just remember Ambedkar on certain days. So I would like to tell people that, you know, keep taking that dosage, you know, and regularly like Ambedkar dose regularly, to know him, and to, you know, to know him, you should read him. And I'm so sure people might have read a lot, like more than myself. But yeah, that is something. And Gina, thank you so much for calling me here, and Sanganath, thank you so much. You have been a lovely friend to me since I've met you.
Thank you. Just tell us, you meant, yeah, is there something specific you would recommend reading? I think you have a few favorite Ambedkar chapters or articles.
Yeah, so Annihilation of Caste is one of my favorites, and Caste is in India, because that gives a, you know, a very like it tells you the very foundation of caste, how it emerged in India and how the inequality started. So I think that is something which I would prefer you should read first, Caste is in India, the chapter. And thank you so much for wishing. Thank you so much, everyone.
Lots of birthday wishes. And yeah, just sorry, it just reminded me, you know, you said like bring Ambedkar in every day, and I just, you know, I was at your house, and you know, you and your dad would be like playing and singing songs linked to, yeah, Ambedkar and the movement. And yeah, that's so beautiful. Like I say, you're so in it, and yeah, I do want to, inspires me to be more in connection with it. So thank you, and hopefully it will inspire others as well. But yeah, thank you so much, Diksha. It's so nice to just like be in connection with you, and thanks for being such a wonderful friend. And I'm sure this has really helped people to get a real flavor of like kind of personal life in India as an Ambedkar Buddhist. Thank you.
Thank you,
thanks as well for having us, and thank you everyone for being here.
Oh, great. Oh, thank you so much, Diksha and Gina, to agreeing to do this conversation. You've been so authentic, very natural, full of life, and very inspiring to hear both of you actually about what influence from Dr. Ambedkar and his work. So I just really want to say big thank you to you both doing this. Yeah, and I'm sure there's so many comments coming in about your conversation. So people really felt connected with what you were talking.